Good evening, everybody. Welcome in to LTL. Let's Talk Live here on the LTL Media channel. Wow, what a day. What a day. I mean, I almost have goosebumps here. Obviously, we heard about the arrest in the Sandra Birchmore case of Mathew Farwell. I had a feeling this was going to be coming. And you know, it's been so talked about. There's been amazing supporters that have kept Sandra's story really alive and done a great job on educating us and letting us know about her story. And you know, I have to say that you all should be celebrating today. I mean, this is a good day. It's a very, very good day. And I didn't want to do this alone. So I wanted to bring on someone today that has been a rock star, standing up for Sandra, fighting for her rights, keeping the story out, you know, as far as it can reach. And I'm going to have Mizzy come in today and join me here on the panel. And we will start the show off with talking about Sandra's case and what happened today. And then I will get into the second part of the show of my meeting and dinner with Karen Reed last night. So let's bring Mizzy in. Mizzy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I see that smile on your face.
I can't stop smiling. I'm going to
You know,
sleep like this.
I'm sure you will. You know, I said to you in the green room before we jumped on the live, you know, I want to really commend you for everything that you have done. And it was funny. I was looking at old emails, and you and I started talking in January, just in the beginning of this year. And I look and I'm like, wow, we've communicated for almost 8 months, you know, and you know, initially sent me all the documents. I looked into this case and you know, the video clip that we've seen of Mathew Farwell walking into Sandra's apartment and then leaving, and then just, you know, coming up on this panel and really educating me and the audience about Sandra's case. And you know, I want to commend you. You know, you've done an amazing job with really, you know, rallying around Sandra and her family and fighting for justice. And today they have that opportunity, which is, it's really great. It feels good. Let me know how you're feeling. Tell the audience how you're feeling.
I think it's starting to settle in. Like this earlier today, I was frazzled, and now I'm like starting to be like, wow, he was arrested. I'm a roller coaster of emotions. I'm like, 1 minute I want to cry, and the next minute I'm like, is this real? You know, I was just talking to her cousin saying, did this really happen? Are we dreaming? You know,
right? Pinch me, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a pinch me moment, and I'm just so glad that they finally got him.
Yeah, it feels good. Let's pull up this article here. We'll just reference it. We have a lot of material to go through. I'm going to try to squeeze, you know, we'll give Sandra the first hour, and like I said, we'll switch over in the second half and talk about my meeting with Karen Reed last night. It was really, really cool, and I'm waiting to really talk about that. But this is important. It's breaking news. So let me pull up this article here. So from WCVB. So we have former Stoughton police, Massachusetts police officer indicted in pregnant woman's death. So it goes on to say a former Stoughton police detective has been indicted on charges that he killed a pregnant woman. Sandra Birchmore's body was found on February 4th, 2021 in her apartment in Canton. She was 3 months pregnant. Mathew Farwell, 38 of Northeastern, has been indicted and charged, and with the strangled 23-year-old admits claims that he had fathered the unborn baby and staged her death to look like a suicide. According to the federal indictment, on or around February 1st, 2021, Farwell killed Birchmore by strangulation. Prosecutors alleged that Farwell staged her body and apartment to make it appear as Birchmore had committed suicide. The indictment alleges that Farwell killed Birchmore with the intent to provide law enforcement from learning about Farwell's commission or possible commission in federal offenses. In 2022, Stoughton police officer Donna McNamara and Mathew Farwell, twin brother, Officer William Farwell and Officer Robert Devine, demonstrated serious misconduct in their interactions with Birchmore. According to the Internal Affairs investigation, Birchmore was 13 years old when she met Mathew Farwell. I want people to understand that. Because this is very, very important in this case. If you're just watching this live or you're just watching my channel for the first time, this was a child. was a 13-year-old child when this grooming process started. And I'm glad that this is in the article, Mizzy, because I know
Yeah.
that we've always heard about 15 years old, and you've really championed behind this and said, no, the abuse started at 13. This was a 13-year-old child when this grooming process started. This is the type of animals these people are. I
Yeah.
don't want to call them even people. They're just animals. They're scum.
Yeah.
They're scummy people. Um, and they hid behind the protection of a badge and a gun to
Yep.
get to get to get the confidence of this child. And and we've talked about this on the lives that we've done. Sandra looked up to law enforcement. She strived to be a law enforcement officer. And these animals, like I said, use the badge and a gun to hide behind to groom her.
Yes.
It's one of the most disturbing cases that I have come across in a long time. In reading through this and reading through these documents, it's truly, truly disturbing.
It's
We'll go on here in the article a little bit more. It says, according to the so it says 13 years old when she met Mathew Farwell through the Apartment Youth Explorers program. He allegedly began an inappropriate relationship with Birchmore when she was 15, and he was 27. Farwell was arrested Wednesday morning and made his initial appearance in federal court in Boston, where he waived the reading of the indictment and pled not guilty. According to the court documents, Farwell was a member of the Stoughton Police Department from March 2012 through April 2022, serving as an instructor for the Stoughton Police Department Explorers Program, a vocational educational program designed for youth to learn about careers in law enforcement. Federal authorities said Birchmore was 12 years old, 12 years old, when she joined the Stoughton Explorers Program in 2010. Investigators said Farwell used this authority to gain access to groom, sexually exploit, and ultimately sexually abuse Birchmore and continue to have sex with her when she became an adult. In several occasions, Farwell allegedly engaged in sex acts with Birchmore while on duty as a Stoughton police officer. Mizzy, let's do this. I don't really want to reference the article all the way through, but do you want
Mhm.
to maybe some of the other gaps with William and Divine, how they kind of were involved in all of this as well?
Yeah. I'm hoping to find out exactly when they started having relations with her,
Mhm,
but they were also part of the grooming process. You know, they also groomed her with Mathew
mhm.
at that age. And they did this so they could take advantage of her. I mean, it was alleged in, can't remember if it was the post commission or the civil case where they said that she was passed around like a toy.
Mm,
And then as we went on, these guys both started same thing, having intimacy relations, where
yeah,
molesting her, whatever you want
right.
to call it,
Rape. We
on
can call it
rape,
rape.
on duty in
Right.
their cars. We know of one location, we believe, that Robert Devine was doing it, and just they were taking control of her life,
Mhm.
and they were, and it went on. It wasn't just normal sex with these guys;
Right.
it was bondage.
Yeah.
So, and if anybody knows about the BDSM scene, it can get violent. So it's like they were just using this girl. I can't even find the adjectives, as
Yeah.
like a toy, like they said. And like I said, Matthew's only part of it. He was arrested today for her death, but there's a whole chunk of it where it's the abuse that happened to her over the years. And I'm looking forward to the rest of it being charged.
Yeah, I'm wondering now if more indictments are gonna come out. Do you see Divine? Do you see Mathew? I would hope this is just the first step, and
Yeah.
then maybe we may see other people that are involved in this as well. And we hope that they get
Yeah.
everybody that was involved in this and just get this done. This is a very good day for Karen Reed's case as well too, because a lot
Exactly.
of people have to understand there's a lot of cross referencing in officers that also were involved or investigated Sandra's case that are also involved in Karen Reed's case as well. So it tells me And I think there was some reporting or some people were saying that, oh, the federal investigation is shut down in the Karen Reed case. That is not the fact.
Yeah.
It's still an open investigation. And I'm glad that this came out today because it tells me that they're still actively seeking information in Karen's case as well, too. So this is very, very good for Karen's case. Let me just get this out of the way. Rami, thank you so much for the $5. Says justice for Sandra Birchmore. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm going to say, I'm looking at the chat really quick, and they are really commending you and said you've done an amazing job. And I think, tonight when you get off, doing your lives, you need to pat yourself on the back and continue to rally, because we
Oh
still
yeah.
need to have these standouts until this animal is put away for the rest of his life. And,
Yeah.
and the rest of these people that are involved are put away. This is only step one. We
Yes.
have many more steps to go.
Exactly.
All right, let's do this. There was obviously a press conference today from Joshua Levy. We'll pull that up. It's about a 20-minute press conference. I didn't actually get to hear the whole thing. I kind of spottedly heard it at work today. So we'll play through this here, see what he has to say, outline the case. We have McNamara's quotes. I know you haven't heard that. And then
No, I haven't.
we'll hear some reaction from the supporters that were out at that press conference today too. All right.
And I've only listened to this once, so
Okay.
my reactions might be like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know
Yeah.
that." Because
Yeah, I've only listened. I listened to bits and pieces of it at work today. I got to kind of sneak out back and listen for about 2 minutes. So
yeah,
I'm very excited to hear this and see how this investigation came down. Amy in Boston, thank you so much for $5. Says feds are very likely to bring charges in trials that they won't win. Unlikely to bring charges and trials they unlikely won't win. You are so true about that. Sandra and Baby are with Rested Souls tonight. Thank you, Mizzy.
thank you.
All right, here we go.
Good afternoon. On February 4th, 2021, Sandra Birchmore was found dead in her Canton, Massachusetts apartment. The charges filed today in federal court allege that she was in fact murdered by Mathew Farwell 3 days earlier. At the time of her death, Sandra Birchmore was a 23-year-old woman with her entire life ahead of her, and she was pregnant with her first child. We allege that Sandra Birchmore survived years of grooming, statutory rape, and then sexual violence, all at the hands of Mathew Farwell, who was employed throughout their relationship as an officer and then detective for the Stoughton Police Department. And when it became clear to Mr. Farwell that he could no longer control Sandra Birchmore, he allegedly silenced her permanently. This morning, Mathew Farwell was arrested on a federal grand jury indictment, charging him with one count of killing a witness or victim. Specifically, Mr. Farwell is charged with violating Title 18 United States Code 1512 for killing Sandra Birchmore with the intent of preventing her from communicating information about his possible commission of federal crimes. How did this all unfold? What happened here? Well, back in 2010, a 12-year-old Sandra Birchmore applied to join the Stoughton Police Department's Explorers program, which introduces teens to policing. Officer Mathew Farwell was an instructor in that program. And as alleged in court documents, he befriended Sandra Birchmore, contacted her online, went to the library with her, became friends on Facebook, essentially groomed her. And then he committed statutory rape by having sex with her when he was a 27-year-old police officer and she was just 15 years old. Mr. Farwell continued to have a sexual relationship with Sandra Birchmore until her death 8 years later, allegedly meeting her for sex regularly when he was on duty and being paid by the Stoughton Police Department. Now, in the weeks leading up to Sandra Birchmore's death in February 2021, she found out that she was expecting a baby. And she told Mr. Farwell that he was the father. According to court documents, Ms. Birchmore was very excited about becoming a mother, buying baby clothes and other items, taking precautions to ensure the health of her new child. Sandra Birchmore had good friends. She had a good job. She had dreams of becoming a nurse, and she had a child on the way. But Mr. Farwell did not share in that excitement. It's alleged that Mr. Farwell reacted quite negatively to to the news that Sandra Birchmore was pregnant with his child. And he acted angrily, it is alleged, when Sandra Birchmore started making requests of Mr. Farwell around doctor's appointments and ultrasounds and what information would be on the birth certificate. Mr. Farwell was losing control in late 2020, early 2021. And the information that Sandra Birchmore possessed about his illegal conduct was in danger of slipping out. In fact, word started to get out about their relationship. Less than 2 weeks before she was found dead, someone called the Stoughton Police Department and disclosed that Mathew Farwell had had a relationship with Sandra Birchmore. And when Mr. Farwell learned about that call, he became visibly angry. Mr. Farwell, it is alleged in these court papers, started to lose his patience, lose his temper, and the 6'4" Mr. Farwell started to be physically violent with 4'10" Sandra Birchmore. And Sandra Birchmore told her friends that Mr. Farwell had pushed her and shoved her.
I'm going to just pause it right there. Thank God that she spoke up to her friends that he was becoming violent with her, because we may be in a different situation right now.
Yeah.
Thank God she spoke up, and because a lot of women that are battered, they don't speak up in fear. Thank God she said something to her friends.
She said something to a few people, so it's thankfully she did. Sandra would speak. She was a very open book, but when it came to the relationships, like the grooming and all that, she was very protective of these men. But she would tell anybody, "Hey, I'm dating this married cop." I was talking to a friend a couple of weeks ago. She would say that. Wow. So it's like, it's great that she said something to these people, because
yes, and I have to say this on this program. You know, look, if there are any women out there that are watching this program, or even men, you know, if you're in a situation, a domestic violence situation, you have every right to speak up and tell someone. You should not be put in that position. No one should be putting their hands on you in any way to harm you. So speak up. It's okay to do that. Don't be in fear. And thank God she had the wherewithal to tell her friends, because we may be in a different position right now.
Yeah.
A very different position. Okay, let's keep playing.
And put her in a chokehold. She was scared. And during that same time, Mr. Farwell was allegedly planning.
The link is for you if you'd like to jump up. I'd love to have you on the panel.
He requested a key to her apartment. And she told friends that he was oddly inspecting the apartment and looking at the closet, including the closet that she was found dead in front of. And then it all came to a head on February 1st, 2021. Mr. Farwell went over to her apartment that evening.
This is chilling.
And he strangled Sandra Birchmore to death. That's the allegation in this case. And he used his knowledge and experience as a law enforcement officer to stage her death to look like a suicide.
Can you pause it right there?
I sure can.
He allegedly...
I spoke to Lieutenant Fanning last fall, and I said those exact words to him. And he said, no, he wasn't a real detective. I said, he was a detective. He was a police officer. He would know how to stage the scene. He said, no, he wasn't a real detective. That's what I was said. That to basically, say, now, I know what I'm talking about. And I kept saying to him, I kept circling back in our conversation, I think she was murdered. And he was like, no, I've seen tons of suicides, and trust me. Mm-hmm. Trust me. No, I didn't trust you. I was cordial with him, but I didn't trust him. And I kept going with my gut because I knew that this wasn't right. I knew that she didn't kill herself.
Yeah. When we first started communicating back in January, you started sending me documents, then you sent me the video. And I remember, and I probably can find the email, like I literally emailed you and was like, oh, he fucking killed her. I mean, watching the video, like he fucking killed her. And we'll play the video here if anybody hasn't seen it. But it's funny, and I'll get into this a little later in the second half of the show when I talk about meeting Karen last night. We talked about Sandra pretty extensively, actually, during our meeting last night, and we were talking about the video. And she asked me, she said, what do you think about, seeing the security cam video? And I literally said the same to her. I'm like, he fucking killed her. I mean, like he definitely killed her. And we were kind of opining on that and talking about it. and it's just very strange today that here we are, there's
Yeah.
an arrest, and maybe sometimes when you talk about things, good things happen on the other end. So
You know what's funny about that?
yeah,
We had our standout on Sunday, and I was on the bus ride home late that night.
yeah,
And I thought to myself, it's so weird. I said, what am I going to do if he gets arrested, or they get arrested? I want to be there. How
right,
am I going to make it down there that fast? Like, it wasn't enough notice for me to get down there. And that's what I was thinking all night Sunday on the way home.
hmm,
And it's just maybe my intuition knew,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I had a feeling that it was coming. I just didn't know when.
It was building, and I think that we felt that the last time we did a live, and we said like, something's coming. The civil suit is coming up. They had Dr. Bowden look at her, at her autopsy and was like, dude, she didn't hang herself. She was murdered, and that's the best guy. I mean, he's the best medical examiner
Yeah.
probably throughout the nation, and to have that on the record and then start the civil suit, I think it's probably the FBI said, all right, we need to act. Real quick before we go back to the press conference. So I'm assuming the civil suit now is going to continue, correct?
Yeah, it would just change.
Yeah.
They would have to, I don't know. They would probably have to re-update the filing,
Sure. Yeah.
They knew it was coming. I think they thought something was coming too, because Williams' lawyer, Bay,
Yeah.
he was making comments on the their last meeting with the judge when they were trying to get stuff from the AG,
Right.
like saying there's a murder investigation now, and like he was saying it. So I feel like there were like little hints.
I knew it was coming. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I was gonna say something, but I forget what I was gonna say.
All right.
I don't remember what I was gonna say.
All right. If you think of it, let me know. We'll
Yeah.
pause the video. All right, here we go. Back to Josh Levy.
Attempted to cover his tracks to literally try and get away with murder. And he almost did until today.
That is scary.
Back in 2021, with the information that was available, Sandra Birchmore's death was ruled a suicide, or deemed a suicide. But over the last year or so, the FBI and our office have been working exhaustively with our state partners. We've uncovered critical new information, examined the existing information, all of which led to this federal grand jury indictment. If convicted on this charge, Mr. Farwell faces a minimum of life imprisonment.
Goodbye. See ya.
Giving voice to the
Love
voiceless,
that tapping of the papers.
ensuring that no one is above the law,
Yes.
protecting the vulnerable people of Massachusetts, that's the highest calling of people in law enforcement. And this case represents those principles. And every day across Massachusetts, thousands of police officers, federal, state, local law enforcement put their lives on the line to protect the people of Massachusetts. Mr. Farwell violated those principles, and now he faces very grave consequences. It is disheartening to have to charge law enforcement officers, especially with crimes this serious. But it's our job at the Department of Justice to investigate potential crimes without fear and without favor. We do in this office what we've been doing for decades with our federal partners like the FBI. We follow the facts, regardless of where they lead. We apply the law and the principles of federal prosecution, full stop. We are not influenced by social media chatter. We are not influenced by politics. We're influenced by the facts and the law. Our mission is to do our level best to do justice in every case. And our mission today is to do justice for Sandra Birchmore.
Such a great statement.
Lastly, I want to note that we are sharing the information and the evidence that we developed in this case with the Norfolk County District Attorney's Office, the Massachusetts State Police, and with the Massachusetts Attorney General's Office, so they can assess whether state charges may be warranted in this situation. And I want to thank those. I also want to thank the department for that.
That's not me, by the way. I think it's the video.
Oh, okay. I thought it was me
Sorry.
because my internet cuts out.
The women.
Video
Boston,
feed from them.
Incredible work on this case. Dogged investigation.
Let me just pause this a second. Try this again.
Look at the court papers. You'll
I
see
didn't hear the. Hold on one second.
has gone.
I didn't hear when I listened to the press conference the first time. I didn't hear him mention the Norfolk DA's office. I just heard him say the AG. So I guess I just totally I think it's almost to be like, here you go. This is what you should have charged.
Right.
Chance.
I think this was their video feed cutting out because I tried to reload it. My internet is fine. Let me just do this really quick. Nick Knack, $10. Someone I love was put into the hospital this morning, was very hurt, and could have to be unalive this morning. She reported it. Thankfully, he was arrested and is being held without bail. DV is not okay. We completely agree. And thank you for sharing that. All right, let's go back to Levy. Let's see.
It's paralegal of our civil rights unit, Liz Riley, United States attorneys.
This is kind of annoying.
This case, their passion, deserve the credit. Now I want to turn it over.
All right, hang on a second here. I don't know what's going on with the video. It's definitely not my feed because my internet is fine. So it must have been when they... Oh, just give me a second here. Let me see if I can find a better video. Sorry, guys and ladies. We'll try to get a better video here in a second. Let me go to...
I want to say something about that last super chat. That's one of the things about this case that a lot of people don't think of it as a domestic violence, and it absolutely was. Sandra thought Mathew was her boyfriend. She thought she was in a relationship.
Charge of violence.
She just didn't realize that it was like twisted till the end. She didn't realize that she had been programmed, and you know, they did this to get into her head, and that's what grooming does. They gaslight you, and they turn you against yourself, and you stop protecting yourself. You follow whatever this person says.
Right. 100%. All right, let's see if I got
violating Title 18 United States Code 1512 for killing Sandra Birchmore with the intent of preventing was the father. According to court documents, Ms. Birchmore was very excited about.
All right, we heard this. Let me just speed up a little bit more. Sorry, everybody.
And the 6'4" Mr. Farwell.
We'll take it from here.
Started to be physically violent with 4'10" Sandra Birchmore. And Sandra Birchmore told her friends that Mr. Farwell had pushed her and shoved her and put her in a chokehold. She was scared. And during that same time, Mr. Farwell was allegedly planning Sandra Birchmore's murder. For the first time, he requested a key to her apartment.
This was interesting.
She told friends that he was oddly inspecting the apartment and looking at the closet, including the closet that she was found.
Can you pause right there?
In front of.
Yep.
That's one of the things that we have been talking about a lot lately. Was what did she buzz him in, or did he have a key? And we thought he had a key fob to get into the apartment.
Yep.
So it's like we were on track of what they were doing.
Right. Yeah.
And then it all came to a head on February 1st, 2021. Mr. Farwell went over to her apartment that evening, and he strangled Sandra Birchmore to death. That's the allegation in this case. And he used his knowledge and experience as a law enforcement officer to stage her death to look like a suicide. He allegedly attempted to cover his tracks to literally try and get away with murder. And he almost did until today. Back in 2021, with the information that was available, Sandra Birchmore's death was ruled a suicide, deemed a suicide. But over the last year or so, the FBI and our office have been working exhaustively with our state partners. We've uncovered critical new information, examined the existing information, all of which led to this federal grand jury indictment. If convicted on this charge, Mr. Farwell faces a minimum of life imprisonment.
Goodbye.
Giving voice to the voiceless.
We kind of heard this.
Ensuring that no one
a little bit
Massachusetts State Police and with the Massachusetts Attorney General's office.
Here we go.
So they can assess
this is where we were.
State charges may be warranted in this situation. And I want to thank those three agencies. I also want to thank the Stoughton Police Department for their assistance in our investigation. Lastly, I want to commend the women and the men of the FBI Boston and Lakeville for their incredible work on this case. This was a dogged investigation. And as you look at the court papers, you'll see exactly how much work has gone into this matter. A huge credit to them, and I particularly want to thank the members of my office, the office I'm proud to lead, the victim witness advocates, paralegals, the chief of our Human Trafficking and Civil Rights Unit, Liz Riley, Assistant United States Attorneys Tori Cummings and Brian Fogarty. This case doesn't happen without their passion for justice. They deserve the credit, not me. Now I want to turn it over to Steve Kelleher, the Assistant Special Agent in charge of FBI Boston.
Good afternoon. I'm Stephen Kelleher, Assistant Special Agent in charge of FBI Boston. At approximately 10:45 a.m. this morning, the FBI arrested former Stoughton police officer Mathew Farwell for allegedly taking the life of Sandra Birchmore in order to ensure her silence. The FBI SWAT team took him into custody at a shopping plaza in Revere without incident. Immediately following his arrest, we shared this significant development with Sandra's family. We know it does not ease their pain, but hopefully it answers some of their questions. Simply put, this case is about seeking justice for Sandra, who we believe was killed by Mathew Farwell after he allegedly groomed and sexually abused her when she was just 15 years old, violating her body and her civil rights. It's also about keeping Mr. Farwell from getting away with murder and from harming anyone else. We in law enforcement are entrusted with immense authority because our decisions can have life-changing consequences, both good and bad. To temper that power, we must adhere to the highest of ethical standards. What we believe Officer Mathew Farwell did, as outlined in today's indictment, is depraved and a gross betrayal of his sworn oath and the public's trust. Let me be clear. Mathew Farwell's gun and badge did not grant him authority to violate the Constitution.
You're right.
And it certainly didn't entitle him to sexually exploit, abuse, and rape a child before killing her and her unborn baby in an attempt to cover up his alleged crimes. What's also troubling is we believe Mathew Farwell staged Sandra's body and her apartment to make it look like she had died by suicide. In the days that followed, this sworn police officer repeatedly lied to Massachusetts State Police investigators about the nature of their relationship. It's a stark contrast to the sheer excitement and pure joy that Sandra felt when she told Farwell that she was expecting his child, texting him a photo of a poster she had made celebrating the pregnancy. Our investigation also uncovered additional evidence that is inconsistent with someone choosing to die by suicide. In the hours leading up to Sandra's death, she reached out to a photographer to inquire about booking a newborn photo shoot.
Jesus Christ.
She also reached out to a friend about obtaining baby clothes.
Oh,
And at the time that she was in the middle of doing laundry when she died, with a load in the washing
Oh,
machine
my
and
God.
another one in the dryer.
oh my God.
There's no question this was a complex investigation, and our work is not done. Our agents, analysts, and financial investigators reviewed tens of thousands of text messages, emails, and financial records, conducted dozens of interviews with family, friends.
That's very interesting. The loading of the laundry, that they look at all that stuff and they go, wait a minute.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, well,
like,
it's a good way to
this-
say, wait a minute, she wasn't.
yeah, she
You
wasn't
don't
in
do
like
your
a
laundry if you're about to
state
kill
of
yourself.
peril. She wasn't in a mind of state of peril at that moment. She's
Mhm.
literally doing laundry. Who just has a thought in the middle of laundry like, you know, I'm gonna off myself right now? It just
Yeah.
statistically would not happen. So this is
And
really good.
also, they had broken up many times. This
Mhm.
wasn't, I mean, granted, the violence was starting to happen more often,
Mm-hmm.
but like beyond with what the sexual violence.
Mm-hmm.
But this was nothing new. Like
Mm-hmm.
he and the thing that was new though, he came to her house to do it.
Yeah.
He broke up with her in texts. So I
Right.
think that was obviously the final escalation.
Mm.
But
And I it was funny because I, talking about this with Karen last night, damn it, I just lost my chain of thought. I just did this. I literally just lost my chain of thought. It's okay. It'll come back to me.
And
welcome
experts
to my
that
world.
analyze the crime scene.
It's called
We urge
getting old,
anyone with
right?
information about the circumstances surrounding Sandra's death to contact the FBI. Committing murder to eliminate victims and witnesses is heinous, and it shakes the very core of our justice system, which depends on people truthfully testifying to what they know. Today's arrest shows that anyone who tries to interfere and retaliate against victims and witnesses in an attempt to subvert the rule of law will have to answer for it.
Mm.
After all, the public's trust is critical for our justice system to function properly. That's why the FBI will do everything in its power to bring to justice anyone who tries to undermine that trust. Our hearts go out to Sandra, to the Birchmore family, and all who knew and loved Sandra. On behalf of the FBI, I want to thank them for their cooperation, patience, perseverance, and fortitude. I also want to thank our agents and analysts for their.
I know what it was. we were talking about statistics, and I was just thinking because of the laundry, statistics. I said to Karen, I said, and the thing you have to think about it, I said, you were on the show when we even looked up, what is the rate of suicide that when a woman is pregnant that would actually kill herself? And it's so minute and
Oh, wow.
small. It doesn't happen. Like it
Yeah.
statistically doesn't even ever happen. And that was something that we always talked about. It was just like, pregnant women don't tend to just unalive or off themselves. So
But there's
that
another
was.
statistic for you.
Mm-hmm.
For pregnant women,
Mm-hmm.
being murdered is the highest rate of mortality for pregnant women. So
I
it's not
would believe it because
like,
it's fathers that.
miscarriages and things like that. It's being
Yeah.
murdered.
It's because fathers don't want the connection to the mother of the baby. Well,
Yeah.
we'll just get rid of him. Or in this situation, Farwell has a wife. He has a baby on the way. I don't want my wife knowing about this. It's getting out public. This could ruin my career, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And it's now time to take care of the situation.
Their hard work,
Crazy.
and dedication, Acting U.S. Attorney Josh Levy and his team for their partnership, and both Chief McNamara of the Stoughton Police Department and Colonel Mon with the Massachusetts State Police for their assistance in helping us move this investigation forward.
And just the way that Sandra was found, that way of being hung is like, people don't really do that.
Yeah. Especially
very
if somebody
sketchy.
needs. There was tons of medication in her apartment. They
Yeah.
said it. She could have
When you have a
just
chance to
taken
look through the
pills
court
if she
papers,
did
you'll
it.
see how exhaustive this investigation is. Obviously, this is an incredibly serious charge. There was a lot of forensics and other evidence that had to be marshaled, expert witnesses, et cetera. So we move as fast as we can, and we also have a duty to get it right.
Hard to hear the questions, but sorry, everybody.
Yeah, our office wasn't involved in the initial determination of a suicide, so I can't speak to that. Yeah, we get leads on cases all the time from all different sources. I'm not going to comment on how we get information on how we got into this one. Yeah, I'm only in a position to comment on what we've done on this investigation. Those questions.
It's hard to hear the questions.
are
I'm
not
sorry,
something
everybody.
I'm able to answer to. We like I said in my comments, we started pulling this string and followed the evidence and got new evidence to put together the case we put together today.
And real quick, I just want to make this point out there too. Not only has Mizzy done a very extensive amount of work into this, Suzanne has also been a very big, rallier in the justice group as well too. She's been up on my panel quite a few times, and I want to commend her for all the work that she's done behind the scenes to keep this out in public, just like yourself. So, bravo to the both of you. You've been really out there, and really the people that have been out at those standouts. I know. You've tried to get the crowds as big as you can, but we see a lot of the familiar faces out there, and you all done an amazing job as well. And you're not done. Like there still is going to keep going on until this animals are put behind bars for the rest of their life and pay, what they did to Sandra, put these people away. And I have a good feeling that more indictments are going to be handed down pretty soon. So
I want to add to that.
Sure.
Her cousin
Mm-hmm.
has been my partner for, in this endeavor for a long time behind the scenes because she can't be out front.
Right.
And the rest of the mods, Trisha and Annie, Annie got a group down to where he was getting arraigned, and Trisha, they went to the police station.
Great.
So, and I didn't even have any part of that. So I'm so thankful that, that they were able to step up today and put boots on the ground where they needed to be. And it was amazing. And my team is awesome. And I'm so thankful that I have all these kick-ass women, helping me and helping Sandra's cousin Barb.
I'm not going to drag out, the levy because it's going to be hard to hear the questions, but if you all want to seek it out, you can just go to YouTube and YouTube it and finish the rest of the press conference. We're trying to move the show along because I know Mizzy has to be out by like 9:40. And I appreciate your time tonight, and thank you for jumping on.
Thank you
She's
for
actually
having
going to go do. You're going to do what? Banfield next, right?
Yes, I
Well, look at
am.
you. Very good. That's awesome. But you can, if you want, after the show ends, you can go over and check out Mizzy on Banfield. Congratulations. All right, let's hear from Chief McNamara. I want to hear her quotes on this, and we'll hear what she has to say on all of this.
Sandra Birchmore, I was a young woman that idolized policing and what it's supposed to stand for in society. She saw none of that
Hey, JJ, how are
in
you?
the way she
Good to
was
see
treated
you.
by Mathew Farwell. Sandra is on my mind today, as well as her family
Sure.
and what they have gone through. I'd like to thank the dedicated leaders and investigators with the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office for their detailed and tireless work on this matter. I'd like to thank the men and women of the Stoughton Police Department for the hard work. And
You know, I'm going to pause this here. I'm going to be very, very critical, and please be critical along with me. It's sad that it took a federal investigation for the feds to jump in when this all could have been handled at a local level. And we know the reason why it wasn't handled at a local level. Just like Karen Reed's case, a cover-up, there has been a cover-up here as well.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I hope all of these people lose their jobs.
I agree. I'm like on the fence with her.
Okay.
Because she did commission the investigation, in-house investigation, and they did fairly well. Deputy Chief Holmes, he did fairly well with that investigation. I just don't feel like it went far enough because they didn't uncover what I think there might be a Pandora's box about to be opened. And so I'm like, but Miss Rafferty, Sandra was murdered in your town.
Mm-hmm.
So that chief needs to look at what her station did and what ways they can improve on murder cases, because
blood is on her hands. I mean, this could have been a deeper investigation, you know, to what it was, the surface layer and the cover up. And you know, it just screams Karen Reed all over it.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, you know, we're the ones that are called crazy. You know, we get called out on, you know, in X and Twitter or whatever you want to call it. You know, those people are crazy. They say we're crazy. Oh, you're all crazy. Nothing's going to happen. None of these officers did anything. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Guess what? The dominoes are starting to fall now, people. And I'm going to tell you, it's not going to only be here. I'm sure there's going to be something coming up soon in Karen's case, because this is all going to start unfolding. And I think as the pressure comes down on all these corrupt law enforcement and the pressure hits you hard and you're looking at 20, 30, 40, 50 years life behind prison, guess what?
Yeah.
People start to talk.
If you're in a criminal conspiracy, you know, people are going to start talking. And I don't want to just say Rafferty, but where we really, really, really need to put all the pressure on of the shitty job they did was the Massachusetts State Police under Michael Morrissey's office.
Yeah.
Because they are the ones who said it was, you know, suicide, along with the medical examiner. And I know most likely everybody in your audience right now was listening and watching the Karen Reed trial. And when Proctor was up there, he was being razzed by his boys about not being able to get it, John's murder categorized as a murder. You know, it was undetermined. So what do you think these guys did to the medical examiners in Sandra's case? They probably told her that they found her and it was suicide. You know, they probably put pressure on her.
The same exact thing that they did in Karen's case. Yes. So I think, you know, for everybody to you know, I know it's frustrating and we all keep saying, sit tight, something's going to happen. But I feel it in my heart that this is the start of the domino effect. And it's just going to be bedlam from here, I think, for all these officers. And I think they needed it to line it up this way for the dominoes to start falling. And I truly, truly do believe that. Rami, let me just get this $5. Morrissey needs to be held accountable for his complicity in all of this. I completely agree. He needs to be immediately fired. And if there are charges out there of any type of cover up that he was involved with, absolutely needs to face the same justice in this case as well. All right, let's continue here.
One thing, rightfully so, Sandra went first because her murder was a year before John's.
Yeah.
And I've said it many times. I don't feel like that Massachusetts State Police unit and Morrissey would have felt comfortable to take that big swing in Karen's case and covering up John's case. If they hadn't already done it, they were used to it. They did it a year before. Oh, we covered up a murder. We covered up murder for cops. It's no big deal. We could do it again.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it needed to happen in this pattern because you're going to see the links now, the links of all the other cops who were involved in Karen Reed's case. It's just going to link it and keep it flowing right out.
Yep.
All right, let's keep playing here.
Yep.
Which was Fanning and Lang.
And
Grano
did
the
extraction. Was on it. Fanning and Dunn were the lead detectives for. Fanning was the supervisor, but he kind of like took over the lead of it.
And then Grano did the text extractions, which we're now finding. What was it? 37,000 text messages essentially buried.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Major problem. Each and every day.
Yeah.
That are there today doing just that. This is a horrible situation. I said this 3 years ago when it happened. I said it 2 years ago in a news conference. This is a horrific situation. Sandra Birchmore received no justice in life. Immediately after her death, an internal affairs investigation was opened up by my department, and we worked tirelessly in that investigation. An internal affairs investigation does not hold the same weight as a criminal investigation, and what we discovered during that investigation was turned over to other agencies, and you've seen some of that here today. I cannot comment on the investigation that the FBI is ongoing, as you are well aware. But today, Sandra Birchmore, in this case, is one step closer to justice.
Chief, you started an internal investigation very shortly after this happened, after Sandra was discovered. The U.S. Attorney was asked this as well, but I'm curious, are you concerned at all that there was other bad behavior in this program in your department?
If it is determined, we will investigate whatever comes out in any investigation.
Is the program still active? When was it ended?
It has not been active since 2017.
How do you feel about the fact that this was ruled suicide, and now years later it's taken this long for this to be declared a murder and for this arrest to be made?
What we all want in policing is justice, and this is what we're looking for, is justice for Sandra Birchmore.
Chief, are you surprised by this charge? Did you think this was going to come?
As I turned over what we found in our internal investigations, what happens is in an investigation is people work hard, and the investigators did just that. They worked hard for justice.
In this paperwork today, it says twice a friend of Birchmore called the police department and said there were allegations here of inappropriate behavior, and twice those were handed right over to the officer. Is that common procedure that when someone calls and complains at your police department, those are handed over? And are you investigating how those complaints were handled?
We will investigate anything that is turned over to us.
That's it on that one. All right, another quick video, and then we'll move into the second part of the show, and we'll talk about my meeting with Karen Reed last night.
Yes. Can I just say while you're bringing the next video up,
sure.
That I'm so glad I had that banner made and I left it with Annie.
Oh,
and
nice.
Thank you to Jen and Allison, and there was a couple other people who were down there. Thank you everybody who showed up there. Just hold that banner and your signs behind her.
Yeah, no, that's good.
It's awesome, that you guys were there, and thank you.
Yeah, very, very good. All right, let's hear from supporters. I think we're going to hear actually from Allison that was out there, which is great. We'll get a comment there. I think there's some pieces of you in this as well too. They kind of cut together.
I spoke to them this afternoon. Yeah.
All right, about a 2-minute video here. We'll play through this.
Of reaction coming from the people of Stoughton. That includes the town's police chief. NBC 10's Mary Marcos continues our team
Romney,
coverage
thank you
live
for
for
becoming
us
a new
from
member.
Stoughton.
Thank you.
Mary, good evening to you. How is the community feeling hearing this news?
Well, people are experiencing a range of reactions, from vindication to the renewed realization that Sandra Birchmore and the baby she was carrying are gone.
I just want to say this again. We are not crazy. Like, people say that we are crazy. We would not get involved in this if we didn't have the information to get involved and stand here and shout both of these cases out. I mean, I know I've been a lot more, Karen Reed, I've been involved in it since September of 2023. You came to me in January of this year and started, we've done some lives about this. But I wouldn't put myself out there and be the type of person that I've been rallying if I didn't feel confidence in this, that one, Sandra didn't hang herself. She was murdered.
Yeah.
And Karen Reed is completely innocent in being framed. I mean, and we'll talk about that here in a minute, my meeting with her, but I still get people that harass me and send email and they're like, you're crazy. You're crazy. I'm like, are you serious? Like, have you seen the mountain of evidence, especially in this case? And you can read the federal documents. We're not going to get to them tonight, but Mizzy, I'd love to have you back at some point. We can go through that. Ironically enough, I actually reached out to Todd McGee today and I said, today is a great day. And I sent him a clip, a link to an article, and he responded back to me and he said, whenever you want me to come on and talk about this, let's do it. So I said, well, let's get through Labor Day weekend. Maybe me and Todd can all get on a show and talk about this.
Yeah,
And I'd
that would
love
be
to hear
great.
his perspective, because what did he say about 2 weeks ago? And when he was on my live, he said, he knew, he said, wait, there is more coming in all of these cases. And he was right. He was sitting right there, and I don't think that he's not going to put his reputation on the line and put things out there that aren't true. He knew that more dominoes were ready here to fall. So all good stuff, all positive stuff today. Something to be really proud of.
We had a 23-year-old female pass away. I'm not sure the circumstances, but we suspect suicide.
A copy of Sandra Birchmore's death certificate, exclusively obtained by the NBC 10 investigators, lists her manner of death as suicide.
The family members that I have spoken to,
Hey, we know that
all
person.
have believed
This
that
was
it
this
wasn't
morning, right?
suicide.
Matthew Farwell's indictment could change that.
They've Same shirt. always thought that she was
Yeah,
murdered.
same shirt.
Melissa Berry runs the Justice for Sandra Birchmore social media and website. She says the Birchmore family can't speak publicly due to an ongoing civil suit, but she's been in close contact.
They're all going to be going through a ball of emotions. She was a young woman who was pregnant with his baby, who was assaulted by him at the age of 15, and this twisted relationship went on until she died when she was 23.
Stoughton Police Chief Donna McNamara's internal probe found 3 officers had inappropriate relationships with Birchmore.
Sandra is on my mind today, as well as her family.
Protesters showed their support outside of court, saying the
Jen,
charges should have come
Allison.
a long time ago.
Good
The
job.
things that they did to her are disgusting.
Yeah.
She admired the police. She wanted to be a police officer. They took advantage of her.
Now Sandra is getting the first steps of getting some justice for her and the child that she was carrying and the child that she was so excited to have.
The group of protesters that have gathered
Great quote, by
outside
the
of
way,
the
Mindy.
Stoughton
Great
Police
job.
Department are a show of how
Good
much
job.
this has impacted the community. Meanwhile, Mizzy says that those 2 other officers would need to
Good
be
for you.
charged in
I'm
order
very
for her
happy.
and the family to feel like justice has been served. Live in Stoughton, Mary Marcos,
job.
NBC 10 Boston.
You need to take a bow.
I'm so happy to see my people out there.
Yeah.
Like Annie, she was holding the side that had the words on the banner, and that was Trisha. They're both my mods. I didn't even know they were doing that, and I'm so thankful that they did, because it got boots on the ground.
Yeah, I won't have time tonight to go through the federal documents, but I want to do this. I'm going to drop the link in the chat if you all are interested. Oh, actually, I'm not going to be able to do that because it's not connected to like a website. They're out there. You can actually go to the Facebook Justice page. They are on there. I actually downloaded them. So if you all want to go over to, is it Justice for Sandra Birchmore Facebook page? Okay.
Yep.
Justice for Sandra Birchmore Facebook page. You can connect over there. It's under the tab for files, I believe. And you can download all of the relevant information if you are first-time watchers or just looking into this case. Because you know what was awesome? I was so happy today, and I posted it. Justice for Sandra Birchmore was trending on X. That hashtag was trending on X today. And I was so happy. And I actually tweeted about it, and I put a Facebook page up. So people were interested. And this is great because now this is getting out. And we talked about it. You know, these cases here, and I'm not making fun of this at all. I don't want people to take this in the wrong way. It's someone in a bubble. You know, we know about it here in the local area. We try to rock star and champion it and get it out as much as we can. But it's nice to see now that that's catching some headwind and getting out to a larger audience, because that's what we do. You know, like what was it? The Bruce Lee movie, not Enter the Dragon, but the one about his life. And I believe it was called Dragon, the Bruce Lee story. And he talked about in that movie when he first obtained his first karate studio, and he walked in with his wife. I'm trying to vividly remember this scene. He walked in with his wife, and he had a pebble in his hand, and he dropped the pebble on the floor, and he said, "Now it begins," because he's created that wave.
The ripple.
And that's what we can do here on these platforms. Yes, I am small. I am not a conglomerate multimedia network. Okay. And you know, I don't have the reach like some of these other larger platforms, but if I know that I can connect with at least one person to have them connect here on LTL, connect with my guests, connect with the stories, I'm doing my job, and those guests are doing their job, and this channel is doing its job, because we are dropping the pebble and the waves are starting. So I commend every single platform, every channel that has talked about this case. I don't care how small you were or how you know, how early or late you came into it. You did your job, and you're gonna actually finally, because the feds don't mess around. We're gonna see justice in this case, and I hope in the next upcoming days or weeks we hear more indictments in this case.
I hope so too. Can I add to that?
Of course.
People take my example. You know, I'm somebody who has a lot of health issues. I suffer from severe migraines. I get them 3 to 5 days a week. I'm probably on borrowed time with my migraines right now. And if I can do the work that I did sitting in my chair, don't be afraid. You know, I always thought that I had to be out on the streets to be an activist, and you don't. You can do it online, and I've been able to find it. You can, because you can reach more people online. That's why, like, I come on these shows, because I can reach more people talking to the audience and the people who come back for the replays. You know, they might not be on tonight, but they'll see the replay of it. You know, you don't be afraid to step out of your comfort zone and feel like, oh, I can't do anything. Because look at me, I'm a perfect example of yes, you can. And it doesn't matter. Like I said, I almost every other day I'm curled up in a ball with, you know, my eyes closed with a migraine. And in between that, I work on this case. And you can take some, heed my advice. You can do it. You got this. Get out there and get online and spread whatever story you're trying to spread, because you can do it. It's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if anybody was following me on Facebook today, but my business name went up on a marquee that is right here on Route 1. And
yes, I saw that picture, but I didn't get to look at it.
What's that?
I saw the picture, but I didn't get to like really read it, because I was like answering messages, and I was like, oh, okay, what's he doing?
And I look at something that started as a vision and a dream in my bedroom 3 years ago. And I am here now. So it is a testament to that. It's what the hard work you put into it, the dedication, you have to love what you're doing. If you don't love it, the passion's not going to come out. If you're not passionate about it, it will not come out. I would tell people, do not start if you're not passionate about something, because you're only going to just fool yourself and you'll quit. But here, I mean, I have an example. I was literally in the bedroom, and I have I'm achieving my dream now. I'm working towards being what I want to do in life. And it can happen with anybody. And I say this all the time. It can happen. And I use this quote, and I put it up there today, and I laugh because it's from the gentleman that's now passed, but Jim Hellwig, that played the Ultimate Warrior in WF. I've kind of lived by this quote. Just because you're born, you have the potential. Every single person out there has the potential of doing something great. If you put your mind and your passion behind it, it can happen. It really can. And this is a testament, you know, you've put your passion and your love behind this case, and really, you know, brought it into your own and got the information out. I mean, what do you have? Over 10,000 Facebook followers. You know, I mean, Christ's sakes, you're going on Banfield after this. That's
we
pretty
just
cool.
hit over 12,000.
There you
Like,
go.
by the end of the night, we'll probably hit 13.
That's awesome. It's really cool. Let me just get to this. Mizzy makes the Justice Magic for $2. Thank you so much. I got you know. And I just had a $10 Cash App come in from Shirley Howard. Okay. Great first segment. Thank you so much, Mizzy, for being here.